So, what do you have to say about the Mad Dog leaving?
It's pretty sad.
What was that? Rumpus! Oh, Rumpus is so sad! I visited Utah in the fall because I could not stand to be away from the mountains and because it was my sister's birthday. So the first night I got there, we went to dinner to celebrate. Woohoo! Yay!
Nobody can know her wish.
This is my sweet high school room. I miss it so much. The vibes are everything. These are some of the friends I've won from like claw machines. I used to be obsessed. And then this is a skateboard I painted. I think I might do this as a giveaway sometime soon. I'm pretty proud of it. Love this design. And my dream bathroom. Nothing will ever compare. I used to make fun of my mom for unpacking and getting everything all organized when we would go on trips, but now I'm the exact same way, and I totally get it. These are my shoes that I'm saving for my future kids or grandkids. They're gonna be so cool and vintage. I just know it. I wanted to answer some questions that people asked me on my past videos. The first question was, why toe spreaders? Like, what's the significance? I personally have super flat feet and it gets really painful. I've worn orthotics pretty much my whole life, but I've been learning recently that our shoe shape is deforming our feet and that our toes are supposed to be splayed out, but just our shoes smush them together. And me already having flat feet, my dad has flat feet. He has a really bad bunion, and I'm already developing bunions and what they call curly toes. So I just wear my toe spreaders to try and like work against what our shoes are doing to our feet. Obviously, you could tell that when I take my shoes off, my toes are really narrow and squished together. And then putting in the toe spreader is like the way that our feet are actually supposed to be shaped. So I just do this in hopes that it'll help prevent my bunion from getting any worse and just like help with any foot pain. And I just got them from Amazon. I'll link it in the description for you. I always pack so much for trips and then I get there and never actually use any of it. This is my all-natural hormone-free birth control. It's called the Daisy. I'll link it also in the description, but it is such a lifesaver. My best friend has used it for 7 years now in her marriage and has never had any pregnancy scares. Definitely worth the investment if you're looking to get off of hormonal birth control. It takes your temperature every morning and it creates an algorithm based on your body. It'll tell you when you're fertile or not fertile. So if you're not fertile, you literally don't have to use any kind of protection or anything. It's seriously really awesome. Sponsor me. Someone else asked what I studied in college. My major was called strategic communication, and basically what that was a creative path of, it was mixed advertising and public relations. It was really interesting. You learned a lot about the psychology of people, but I also just learned how unethical it all is. They're so well studied in human behavior that they are taking advantage of and manipulating people without them even knowing it. So I decided early on that I did not want to follow that as a career, and that is why I actually started my own business. These are the mountains I grew up by. Literally so blessed. When I was making this, I obviously lived in California. I can't believe how much has happened since then. I think this was in October. Yeah, this was in October. Since then, we literally moved to a different part of California, got fired 3 weeks after moving there for the job, and now we're back in Utah. But just going back and watching this, I'm so glad because it is everything. Utah is so beautiful. I really don't think I'll ever want to live anywhere else ever again.
I thought it was so.
You've heard about docking. Seek Jesus hoodie. It's so soft. It's my favorite. I actually have a 35% off link you can get also in the description. Highly recommend listening to Anomaly or Dream Rare. I listen to him almost daily. He's just so level-headed.
He says Israel is experiencing its own 9/11. There is no both sides to this attack. And I just want to talk about that because they are kind of framing it.
Okay, I'll let you listen to some Anomaly and just let me know when you think. This was right when the Israel-Palestine war started, and I was reading David Icke, just learning the history of Israel, and I feel like it's not really talked about, and it's not what we've been taught, so super interesting, but I'll just let you listen.
You know, Republicans are crying victims saying, oh, we're being persecuted by the FBI and the deep state. Oh, it's like, well, maybe they're using the Patriot Act that you guys wanted to spy on Muslims, and now they're spying on you. I'm pretty sure that is absolutely what's happening. So it doesn't justify what's happening, but if you don't want your liberty to be eradicated, then you can't give it up under the guise of fighting Muslims overseas. We've already run this narrative, and I'm not saying there's no bad Muslims overseas. There's good Muslims overseas and there's bad Muslims overseas. There's peaceful people, there's terrorist organizations. Yeah, it's real. But to give up your freedom and allow the government to spy on you, Republicans walk into this trap every single time. They never learn a lesson, although it does seem like a lot of people are learning in the comment section. And I see the same playbook being run now. For a while, I've told people that if the election were tomorrow, I would vote for DeSantis over Trump. Now, I'm not so sure because I'm seeing how the DeSantis camp is acting, especially all these influencers that support him. And I'm watching them call good people that I know are good people Nazi sympathizers and all sorts of crazy stuff because they don't want Israel to like kill a bunch of children. And it's like, it's not saying that what Hamas did is okay. It's obviously not okay, but it's like, and you don't even have to agree with those people. But if you're going to use these left-wing commie, media tactics and just call people Nazis who literally just have an opinion about something that you slightly disagree with, I don't know. Maybe Trump will be better than DeSantis because DeSantis seems a lot more like Nikki Haley and his supporters seem like bloodthirsty, unhinged psychopaths. So I'm not saying everybody's like that. Don't get it twisted, but it's like that's not a way to win my vote. You don't have to agree. You can, disagree with them and explain why. But at this point, I'm just noticing the same 9/11 rhetoric coming out. Adam Schiff says it's the 9/11 of Israel. Well, what happened when 9/11 happened in America? We passed the Patriot Act, and now those same rules of spying on terrorists in America is being used against MAGA because they view you guys as terrorists. They say, well, MAGA's terrorists, so now we can spy on them because we gave ourselves the right. And everyone's like, well, we're getting spied on. It's so messed up. You gave them that right. When I disagreed when I was like in my teens and I said, hey, I love America, but I'm not so sure about all this stuff because I actually knew this shit when I was a kid. I didn't fall for the George W. Bush propaganda. I was told 20 times as like a teenager, like, oh, what are you, a terrorist? Are you Al-Qaeda? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, God forbid you disagree with the narrative of the Republicans when they're starting a war that's to fight the bad Muslims, then it's on you. So I'm just saying I don't really feel bad for Republicans nowadays because all the things they're getting persecuted under by the deep state is things that they wanted desperately in the 2000s to go overseas and fight wars.
I got to go to breakfast with 3 of my best friends from elementary school. Some of us haven't seen each other for literally like decades, but it was so nice to catch up. Megan has a baby now. We're all just grown up. It's so crazy. And what a beautiful day in a beautiful place. Those sunflowers, are you kidding? This was probably my favorite day of the trip, just walking in the canyon. It's unbelievably beautiful. Get what? I am definitely my father's daughter. We are both so weird. Maybe that part of me doesn't really come through on social media, but we are just big weirdos. This person asked why no touching fruit. I don't know what it is. I was telling my friends about this the other day, and my best friend's husband laughed and said, "Isn't that autism?" It very well might be. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit autistic. But I just can't do fruit. Like, if I'm eating a watermelon, the last thing I want is juice of a cantaloupe infecting my watermelon taste. Also, the camera I use is a Canon 80D. I don't really know the specs. I just had an ex-boyfriend whose dad gave it to me. Like the second time I met him for absolutely no reason. Just gave it to me because he wasn't going to use it. So that's what I use now. I'm very blessed. came home and made some pumpkins with my little niece. Of course, I made a cat's butthole. Fun fact, even in middle school, I was known as Maddie Loves Cats. That was my social media handle for as long as I could remember, until I grew up and thought maybe I should change this.
And as you work your way through this tree, the very top one on the tree of life is called Keter, which means crown.
Another podcast rec, listen to SuzieCues. We did an episode together. I'll link that in the description, and I'll link this podcast episode in the description as well.
You know, it's really fun to get to know your parents better because they are really special people.
And then I was off to the pumpkin patch with my BFF since kindergarten and her family. It's basically like my second family.
You gotta send me that picture. Daddy wants one.
Yup. That's it.
Whoa, it's Sparky.
Teddy ate the stems off of my pumpkins. Like
Ate?
Spooky. Woo! Oh, I got some. Oh.